This is the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. Sit back, listen in, and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, I'm back. I know it's been a while, a little over 5 months since my last podcast episode. I kind of disappeared for a while there, dealing with some issues. I know many of you have been asking, where did I go? Would I be making more of these podcast episodes? And yes, I am going to be restarting things in a different format. As you can see, I am alone this time, no co-host for now. But I want to tell you a story. My story about how I completely burned myself out without realizing it, which resulted in me going full-on Kaiser Sose for the last 5 months. Now, this wasn't from overworking, not from long hours or too many clients or a packed calendar. No. I burnt out from thinking too damn much. And not the useful kind of thinking, not the I'm going to solve a problem, build a plan, financial stuff. I'm talking about the constant, pointless mental chatter that comes from comparing yourself to everyone else. And here's how it began. I needed to come up with ideas for my podcasts. Articles, email marketing, social media. It's a lot of material to create. But with one great idea, creating all that stuff is easy peasy. So I would turn to social media. I figured, let's see what is popular online and what's getting traction. So every night I'd grab my phone and I would do some doom scrolling. At first, it was research. I was just trying to find some topics people were talking about. I'd scroll through other advisors, coaches, creators, whatever you want to call us. Basically, people posting about financial topics. I'd watch the reels, read their captions, think, okay, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try something like that. But then what happened is I started to look at their numbers. The hundreds of likes, dozens of comments, shares, and reposts. Then I'd glance back at my posts, the ones that sometimes I spent a little too much crafting or I thought was great, and I'd have 12 likes. Now, then my research into ideas slowly but surely transformed into this, wait, why am I not getting what they're getting? I would look at their follower numbers, and they wouldn't have that much more than I would have. So I started to think, what is that person doing that I'm not? Why are they getting traction on social media and mine are falling flat? And little by little, what started out as research started feeling heavy. I wasn't looking for ideas anymore. I was looking for validation, and I wasn't finding it. And at first, it was subtle. I'd scroll, I'd feel a little sting, go, and move on. Maybe because what they were saying isn't something I would say, because it wasn't me and I didn't believe in it. No big deal. But the more I scrolled and I kept seeing the same posts generating likes, comments, and followers, I started to question myself more. I started to think things like, am I even good at this? Maybe I'm boring. Do people hate me? Am I even putting out the right content that people want to see? But yet, I could tell people were, because other people were doing what I was doing. They were just getting traction. And because my brain loves a good downward spiral, it didn't stop there. Soon, I was questioning everything. I was questioning my personality, my voice, my whole approach to life. Some people were saying what I was saying and getting likes. So it became that question of, what is it about me that is different? Why do they like them but not me? And I started to imagine this alternate version of me, the version that I guess I was supposed to be, the version you ultimately think of when you first picture a financial advisor. Maybe this version of me isn't something, maybe this version of me is something, maybe this version of me isn't something people wanted. Maybe this whole creation and branding I did was wrong. Maybe I needed to be like everyone else. Maybe I needed to change everything I was doing to be better. And that comparison messes with your head in a weird way. I'm literally going through it back in my head right now. It's sneaky. It starts with harmless thoughts. It starts with, wow, they're doing great. And before you know it, it's whispering you're behind. It made me resentful and insecure all at once. I'd scroll and see people posting the same ideas I'd share a week before, and their post would blow up. And I'd start to think, I literally said that. Why did no one care when I said it? It felt personal. Like the world was saying, we just don't like who you are. That feeling is exhausting. It's this weird cocktail of frustration, jealousy, and self-doubt. You know it's stupid to care, but you just can't stop caring. Eventually, writing podcast summaries, articles, and emails became the most challenging thing known to man. I would constantly question myself. I'd look at what I was writing, and then I would turn to social media to see, is that what they would say? Is that what the algorithm wants? And it would frustrate me more because what I would normally say was nothing like what it was online. It just pushed me down this doom spiral of I am not good enough. But I figured maybe it was just the writing. Maybe I am saying it right. I have good ideas, but I'm just not putting it down right. So I worked with a copywriter to help with my posts. So hopefully it would land with people. And even that stung at times because what I would write and I felt proud of would be rewritten. I felt like I couldn't even express myself in the right way, which just added on top of this self-doubt. And eventually my brain just tapped out. One day, I completely lost it. I had what I call a full-blown emotional meltdown. It was me sitting alone, ugly crying, like red-faced, runny nose, can't breathe crying with heavy emo music playing in my ears. And I wish I could say it was about something big, like a family crisis or losing a client. But no, it was because I couldn't figure out why people online didn't care about what I was saying. It was because I felt like I wasn't good enough to do this. And that's how far down the rabbit hole I'd gone. And the worst part, I wasn't even crying about the content. It wasn't the fact that I couldn't create the stuff. I was crying because I generally thought there was something wrong with me. I felt like a failure. I even wrote my business coach, while ugly crying, an email apologizing for failing, saying, I don't think I can keep doing this. It's all become too much and I need to get away from the stress. I felt like a failure. The weird thing is, writing that email felt like the weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I had been personally holding on to this feeling for months that telling someone, even over an email, was enough to give me some clarity. Looking back, I know exactly what happened. I wasn't burned out from working. I was burnt out from trying to be perfect and someone I wasn't. Perfection is one of those sneaky little lies that sounds noble. You tell yourself, I just want to do my best. But what you really mean is, I want to control how people see me. I was caring way too much about being popular. But the more I chased it, the worse I felt. Because every time I didn't get it, it confirmed the story in my head, you're not good enough. It's wild how fast that thought can take over. One day you're confident in creating, and the next you're second guessing every word, every idea, every post. And then something strange happened. I was lucky enough to go on a 3-week vacation to Europe after this mental breakdown. Prior to that trip, I made a point to get away from social media, get away from scrolling, just disconnect and enjoy the time with my family and exploring Europe. Doing that allowed me to focus on myself. And I started to just act like myself again. I wasn't worried about, is this right? My head was clear so I could just focus on being me. And I became happier again. I wasn't stressing about what people were saying online. I wasn't thinking, am I saying this post the right way? Will everyone like it? Without the noise, I could actually think. I can remember why I started creating in the first place. It wasn't for the numbers, not because but because I generally love connecting with people, telling stories, and making ideas simple and human. And I was just focusing on being happy in the moment and enjoying being myself. And from all of that, it hit me. What if you just let yourself be you again? What if you stop chasing their dreams and goals and start to focus on your own? Quit worrying about what people want to see and just create things that feel like you. It was simple, but it landed like a punch because I realized that everything I've done, chasing all the likes, all the approvals, all the perfection, none of it mattered if I hated myself in the process. The realization reminded me of something from years ago. When I was in high school, I was a Canadian living in an American high school who was also overweight and a little socially awkward. Whereas one of my older brothers, he was the funny guy. Everyone seemed to love him. He could make everyone laugh, teachers, friends, random strangers at a bus stop. And I wanted that. I wanted to be the funny one too. I wanted what I guess most people in high school wanted. They wanted to be popular. And that's what he was. So I tried. I tried. I studied how he told jokes. I copied his timing. I even tried some of his lines, but they would never land the same. Every attempt was painfully awkward. Eventually, I realized I wasn't the funny guy. And that was okay. But the lesson didn't stick. Because here I was, years later, repeating the same pattern. Trying to be like everyone else instead of just being myself. So coming back this time, it will be different. I've stopped asking, will this get likes? And started asking, does this feel true to me? If the answer was yes, I hit post. If it's no, I delete it and I move on. That one rule has changed everything. The funny thing, once I stopped chasing perfection, the content that came from a real place, the unfiltered stuff, that's what resonated. I have a clear focus on what I am doing with social media now. I had been so caught up in the idea of being the best, having a post go viral all the time, as if that really happens. I'm now focused on showing up as myself more. I want to talk on social media. And I want to be focused less on getting likes and followers, and more as a means to show the world of who I really am. My socials aren't going to be all facts and figures and numbers. I'm going to embrace my personality and voice more, something no one else can be better. They can't be a better version of me. This change in my mindset has helped me a lot. I'm still slow going on building my socials as I constantly have to remind myself to just focus on myself. I'm working on getting my mojo back when it comes to writing content and keeping up with social media posts. I've been working on these last posts for a few months now, trying to push away the negative thoughts and focus more on me and what I really need to do, which is show off who I am and be as authentic as possible. Trying to be like everyone else or copy what they're talking about isn't going to cut it. So here I am being as authentic as possible, sharing you my story about how I burnt myself out emotionally, breaking down, all over comparing myself to others on social media and thinking I needed likes and followers to validate who I really am. So if you take nothing else from this story, take this. Comparison will destroy you if you let it. It'll make you forget who you are. It'll convince you that being yourself isn't enough. But you are enough. You don't need to perform. You don't need to polish every rough edge. You don't need to show. You just need to show up, messy, human, and real. I want you to focus on what is important to you, not some metric or algorithm. Worry less about how did your investments perform versus your neighbor, and focus more on what do you need to be happy in life. And I know it hurts to hear someone generated a higher return than you did, or someone has a nicer car, or went on yet another vacation. But if you focus on how you're comparing to them, you're going to find yourself doubting your decisions that you've made in the past and starting to make decisions based on what you think you should do and not what you need to do. Like me, I don't need more likes and followers online. I just need to show up as myself. And you don't need to have a better looking car. You just need a car that works for your lifestyle. In the end, I don't want to see you burnt out and struggling like I did. I tried to keep it all to myself, and look where it got me. I don't want this to happen with your finances. Now, I've written an article all about the negative emotional decisions we can make when comparing ourselves to others when investing. You can check out that article on my website, and I'll have the link below on the show notes. So please do check it out. Until next time, like, follow, and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with Aaron Buchner from Cactus. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at prickfree.com or give us a call at 613-876-9899. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views, opinions of Cactus. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. The contents of this podcast do not constitute an offer or solicitation for residence in any other jurisdiction, where either Aaron Buchner and/or Sterling Mutuals is not registered or permitted to conduct business. The opinions expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Mutual funds provided through Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Commissions trailing commissions, management fees, and expenses. All may be associated with mutual fund investments that please read the prospectus carefully before investing. Mutual funds are not guaranteed. Their values fluctuate frequently, and past performance may not be repeated.